We have been building our pixel art project with pixels that are of equal width. But if we could relax that, if we could make the width change, for example, here the width keeps decreasing, or here where it keeps increasing, or here where it decreases and then increases, or say here where it increases and then decreases. It turns out a lot of possibilities come up. In fact, this is also a great way to learn about the dynamics of the for loop. Let's understand how this is happening. Well, the idea is actually quite interesting. Previously, we were using a fixed pixel width, for example, in this case, 20 or 15. Now remember, this is basically an input to this function draw rectangle. So this is the length of the rectangle, and it turns out it becomes like the width of our pixel. But we had it fixed, but all we have to really do is to make it a changing pixel width. And it's quite easily done by making use of this counter variable. Now remember, the for loop is coming with this variable. So if I could make the width a function of this counter variable, then I'll have done it. Now, interestingly, there are three ways of doing it, at least three. One is that I can change the input range like I've done in the previous example. Next, I could use some formula or I could use some list. But like I said, the underlying mechanism behind all of these is to use the counter variable from the loop, from the for loop. Let's see how this is all done. We'll take three examples. First one, let's play with the range. Now, range function, the range returns us a sequence, start, stop, step. And the last one is not included, which means that here I'm not running my JJ look, 0 1 2 3. In fact, I'm running 1 3 5 7 9 and so on and so forth until 39 because the last one is excluded. And all I'm doing is to say that, okay, let's draw a rectangle of the width JJ. So what will happen is that I'll get the first rectangle of width 1, then of width 3, then of width 5 until width 39. So this will keep increasing. Now remember that the length of the rectangle is how much I have to change my x value so that the next rectangle gets fit in the nice place. So which means that previously this was x plus 20. Now I'm using x plus jj. The second one is to use some formula. So here I'm using a formula. All right, my jj is counting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 until 19. But every rectangle is jj plus 10, which means that as my jj keeps going up, so remember jj starts at 0. So first rectangle is of 0, 10, then it's of 11, then it's of 12, and so on and so forth. Finally, we can use lists. So this is quite powerful, quite arbitrary, because you can create anything inside this list. So here I have chosen a list. You can verify that all this adds up to 400. In fact, I've maintained that in all of these. Now what I'm doing is that I'm going to take the width of the pixels from this list called width. And again, I'm indexing into this list and picking up, let's say, 73, 50, and so on and so forth. Now, just like here, my x val must change with the widths that I'm looking at. Now, this is a very interesting idea. Let's see this a little bit in code, so that it becomes a bit more clearer. Here, I have the basic code which puts out the 20 by 20 pixel grid for me. Let's say we take the first example. I say I want this to be, in a range which is different from 20 to 20. I'm going to say range 142. Now, like I said, this will create 1, 3, 5, and so on and so forth because step is 2 until 39. Now, I come in here and I say instead of 20, use JJ and also xval change by JJ. So when I do this, I get this output. You can see that the pixel width keeps increasing. Let's take a reverse of this. Let's say I started at 39. I took until 0, but step of -2. Remember, 0 will be excluded, so I'm going to count 39, 37, all the way down to 1. Now, this yielded me here. So here the pixel width is decreasing. Let's take another example. Let's say I do, say, indeed 20 or say encalls. But this time round, I tell it to do jj plus 10. Now remember, jj is going to count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 until 19. But I am doing a rectangle with jj plus 10. So I must make this also jj plus 10 so that my x increments correctly. If I did this, I get this. Now again, this width is increasing, but not so dramatic because the increase is just 1 pixel every cell. Let's take the third possibility where I use a list. So I've already brought in this list here. Now this list, I've created. Obviously, you can create many other lists. But again, instead of calling, the width to be, let's say, some function of jj, I'm calling this width from the list. So I just index this list. I say widths JJ, and again here I have to go and do widths it's JJ. Now when I run this, the output is quite interesting. Notice this list has 7350, so it's decreasing first and then increasing later, and that's exactly what I'm seeing. And you can imagine that by changing this list, you can get any kind of patterns. Again, like I said, this is a great way to understand what's happening in the for loop. I hope you found this interesting. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.